You are listening to We Are the Compassionate Revolution. I'm your podcast host, therapist, author, boundaries guide, Molly Moon. If you are a compassionate person and you want to know your worth, set better boundaries, live from your truth, and operate in your fullness, then I am so glad you've joined us. You ready? Let's get started. Welcome to our very first episode. I'm so excited to have this podcast rolling, and I want to start us out with a gauntlet thrown, more like the podcasting equivalent to a wild, undulating call reverberating through the air around you. Because who they told you you are and how they told you to show up for your life, it's not true. And you and I are so much more powerful than we know. There's been a long, hard road for compassionate people across time, across the globe, across many cultures, because we are people born with certain qualities and traits that are beautiful, but that are not seen as beautiful by the dominant culture we find ourselves in. I'm talking about traits like compassion, empathy, conscientiousness. We understand that our actions impact others, and therefore we are thoughtful and caring in how we do things, or at least we try to be. And boy, if we hurt someone, even on total accident, we feel terrible about it. We tend to be a highly responsible bunch. We want to do our part and do it well, right? We're often quite empathic, attuned to the emotional state of others. These are all pro-relational traits. They're very good qualities to have, and they're so good to have in human groups. Many communities and tribes and cultures honored these traits, nurtured them, celebrated them. But let's face it, for the most part, those are not the tribes and cultures that are in charge today. The dominant forces of power over and might makes right groups marched across the globe and took and assimilated. And if you and your people survived that, and they must have because you're here, let's just say that the compassionate folks among them had to learn some very important coping skills to survive the whole thing. Like, keep your head down. Close your mouth. Don't piss off the people in power. Don't attract notice. Keep the people pleased. That is how you survive. The witch burnings in Europe are a great example of this. You want to express sympathy for someone who the powers that be are claiming is a witch? Okay, guess who's going to the stake next? And look at a lot of our heroes too. I mean, compassionate people have stuck their heads up and tried to create change, and often they did, all through history. But what happened to most of them? Martin Luther King Jr. is a great example from my country's recent history. His message was so clear, so right, so pro-human, it's basic math. It's like 2 + 2 = 4. This is the way. But how was he received? Mostly hated? Reviled? Stalked by the CIA, no less? Tons of energy was poured into making sure his message did not get heard, or got twisted if it did. The man's home was bombed with his wife and newborn baby in it. And he knows he's taken on a death sentence by deciding to stand up. He wrote about it, and the strain of it ate at his mental and emotional health. And sure enough, he gets assassinated. Now, later, though, the country gives him a national day. Woohoo! You know, what's the take-home there for us? It's that even if you can do some good, the message is still clear. You decide to stick your head up, you'll pay for it. And we get the message. Okay, so it basically takes a very, very special type of person who can handle that level of pressure and hate and still somehow choose to stand up day in, day out and speak. Yeah, we get the message, all right. We're like, that's really cool that he could do that. And also, I am not strong enough to handle that. Now, by the way, we don't have to go back in history at all. We can talk about right now. For example, some people would say you're not being patriotic if you consider the humanity of people being harmed by whoever's in power. To be considered a good citizen or a good person in a country or state operating like that, you are required to dehumanize whoever they say is the enemy. Which means, for compassionate people, you have to unsee what you see, unfeel what you feel, and unknow what your heart knows. Or at least keep your mouth shut. Because if you don't, you'll be considered the enemy too. And we all know what happens to the enemies. We've got a whole history to prove it. Compassionate people around the world have had to learn how to survive in a world that does not want our qualities to have any power. Now, are you allowed to use your qualities of compassion and kindness and empathy? Yeah, you can keep right on overgiving, overhelping, overcaring all you want, as long as it stays in certain areas. Your workplace loves it. Give more, they'll take it. If you're in a toxic relationship with someone, maybe a family member, or a romantic relationship where you're the giver and they're the taker, they'll keep on taking from you as long as you'll keep on giving. They'll even tell you to give more, and you'll probably feel guilty if you don't. In other words, you're totally allowed to be compassionate. You're allowed to be empathic. You're allowed to be highly responsible, just only in the ways that won't upset the status quo, only in the ways that will exhaust you and effectively render you harmless. And this has been the way of it, not just for our lifetime, but for lifetimes upon lifetimes. Think of the epigenetics of trauma here. We've been deeply programmed in the DNA we inherited from survivors and from the experiences in our own lives, if there's been trauma and wounds, and most of us have. But even if there hasn't, just from growing up and living in performance culture, that's a trauma too. We've been programmed to pour out our compassion into certain others, to leave nothing for us, and to see our own selves as not good enough, as very small and powerless. And that's what this podcast is about. A great reclaiming. Because this whole way of being that we compassionate people have been programmed to believe is our truth, that way is over. Can you feel it? It's dying. It's in its loud and angry death throes. It's done. And we are waking up all over the world. We're seeing it for what it is. And as our sight becomes clearer and clearer, we are rejecting it. Who they told you you are, that you're broken, that you need to keep the people pleased or you're not a good person, that you need to focus on jumping through the hoops, getting it right, getting it perfect in order to have worth. Oh, but don't shine too brightly because you might make someone else feel bad. It's you're too much and you're not enough all at the same time. Yeah, all of that. All of that bullshit that's kept us unbalanced, shaken, destabilized, and disempowered. We are done with it. We're living in a really wonderful time, my friends, because it's not been safe to challenge this before. Until quite recently. Our ancestors, and let's give them honor because for them to challenge this narrative was life-threatening. They survived so that we could get here. Because they knew somebody at some point in this line is going to be able to do something about this. And now we're here. It's time. And we are waking up. Because for most of us, it's safe enough. That's big. It's safe enough. Will it always be easy? No, but it's safe enough. Now, our brain might still beg to differ, especially at first. You might be hearing your brain yelling right now. That's because it's been programmed to believe that disempowerment is safe and power is bad. But that's just survival programming. That's not your truth. And we can learn how to lovingly lead our brains into the truth. We can and we will because we have to. This old way of being is simply not acceptable. And think about it. Why do dysfunctional systems of power work? They work because everybody plays along. You guys, when the compassionate people quit playing along, it's over. Because as long as we stay asleep, disempowered through the programming, we are the ultimate tool of compliance. But don't get me wrong here. I am not blaming the abuse and the harm on us. Okay, we are not responsible for the wrongs done by power. We are among its victims. But check this out. Here's what happens if we don't wake up. Our natural traits of conscientiousness, compassion, cooperation make us naturally inclined to be cooperative. We don't like conflict by and large, because somebody might get hurt. And in a healthy group or tribe or culture, that's really nice. We are a strength to communities like that. We are the powerhouse that keeps the flow flowing. But in an unhealthy group or system, this trait of ours can be a real problem because our cooperative nature can be totally co-opted. And it is. It has been, and it is now. They're using us. And I'm not even saying it's insidious. It might be all totally accidental. I don't know. It's probably a healthy mix of both, but I'll leave it to others to argue that one out. I don't care. I just know it's happening. It is how it happens. They set up the rules of the game, and it's all rigged towards the power structure. That's just how power over systems work. They set up the game, we play the game. And maybe as we should, when survival is at stake, right? Okay, fine, that's fair. But when survival is no longer at stake, and this is where we find ourselves, this is today. Yes, there are grooves worn into the pathways of our brain that make it really easy for us to keep going this way. Yes, it is hard to consider change, especially at first. To even consider another way feels like you're losing your mind because the programming has us so brainwashed that its way is our only option. But it's not, and it never has been. The whole thing only works if we all play along. And we're waking up to that. Our hearts know. Our hearts have always known something's wrong with this. This isn't how humans should live. Things shouldn't be this way. Have you ever thought that? See, your heart knows. And you're not alone because it's not just you. We are waking up. And there's a lot of us because this is our time. And we are safe enough. And we're done. Can you feel it in your bones? This is the compassionate revolution. The way forward is love. And the people the world needs to lead the way, that's us, the compassionate ones. We have the traits and the qualities that the world desperately needs. We are the medicine. We are the change. But we have to become it. And that means we have to become it inside of ourselves first. Your healing is revolution work. Yeah, that's right. You've already started. Keep going. Discovering your true boundaries, that's revolution work. Because the revolution can't happen on the outside until it's happened on the inside. We have to stop being terrified of our own power. And we will. Because we are innately powerful, and it's beautiful. Stepping into our powerful selves is what we're here to do. Do you feel the hope rising? I'm glad because it's real. If you will listen, you might even hear your heart whispering to you the truth. You are powerful. You are here for a reason, and you are not alone. Before you rush into the rest of your day, or whatever's on your schedule next, can you take 30 seconds just for you? Hand to heart, a deep breath in, and a gentle reminder. You matter. You're allowed to take up space. It may feel really good to say it. Say it with me if you like. Repeat after me. I am here to take up space and to become myself in my fullness. Ooh, that felt good. Let's say it again. I am here to take up space and to become myself in my fullness. Oh, let those words be planted like a seed in your heart this week, and repeat them back to yourself as many times as you need. Until next time, remember, love is the way, and that love includes you, too. My compassionate friend, I am so glad you're with us. We are the compassionate revolution. We are the change the world needs, and we're becoming it. If you loved this episode, please share it with a friend or give this podcast a 5-star review. I'd appreciate it so much. And if you'd like to get practical and work with me more closely on boundaries, you can come visit me at boundaried.com. That's boundaried.com for amazing resources. Because this is how we do it. One action at a time. We are moving into our power. And I'm so proud to be in this movement with you.